Part 1. The Cry in the Pines. Angela Rutledge had always felt safest in the quiet folds of Colorado's high country. Their home stood nestled in a pine-scented hollow just outside of Aspen, off Lower River Road, tucked between the white-capped peaks and the restless Roaring Fork River. That morning, June 17th, the sky was an impossible blue. Angela poured herself a second cup of coffee, while Noah, just 5, tumbled out into the backyard with the boundless energy only children seem to wake up with. He carried a toy dump truck under one arm and a peanut butter sandwich in the other. "Don't go past the fence," she called through the screen door. He waved at her with a grin, his shaggy blonde hair catching the sunlight. Then he disappeared into the green blur of tall grass, playing by the line of pine trees that bordered the edge of their property. Angela didn't know, couldn't have known, that just beyond those trees, a predator had been watching. Mountain lions are ghosts in daylight, silent, calculating. They blend with the terrain, eyes fixed, limbs coiled. Colorado Parks and Wildlife had recently warned locals of sightings in the area, but it had seemed more like folklore than threat. After all, Angela had lived there nearly 10 years and had never seen one. She was just rinsing out a mug when it came. The scream. High, sharp, cut short. It didn't sound like Noah's voice. It sounded like something broken, like terror made audible. Angela didn't think. She moved. She sprinted through the screen door so fast it banged behind her, down the porch steps, across the gravel. Her bare feet sliced open on a shard of old glass hidden in the grass. But she didn't stop. She couldn't. Her heart had already left her body and gone racing into the trees. Then she saw it, a flicker of tan against pine bark, movement, and Noah, on the ground, his small body twisted under a blur of fur and claws. The cougar had him by the head and was dragging him into the brush. Angela didn't feel fear. She felt fire. "No!" she screamed. And with that, she did the unthinkable. She charged. Part 2. Claws and Courage. Angela didn't pause. She didn't weigh her odds. She hurled herself forward with every ounce of strength she had, screaming as loud as her lungs would allow, not in fear, but in rage. The mountain lion flinched, just for a second, and that was enough. It had dragged Noah maybe 20 feet from the yard. He was still struggling, whimpering now, blood trickling from his scalp into the pine needles. The cat had its jaws clamped around the side of his small head. Its yellow eyes met Angela's as she collided with it. She punched, slapped, clawed. Angela wrapped her arms around the cougar's torso, digging her fingers into its fur, trying to yank it off her son. The animal thrashed violently, its powerful limbs striking her arms, her face, her chest. A paw raked across her right forearm. 4 long slashes instantly opened. Another claw caught her above the eye, but she didn't back off. She grabbed a rock, slammed it down. Once, twice, 3 times, screaming Noah's name the whole time. And then finally, the mountain lion let go. It backed away, panting heavily, blood around its muzzle. For a second, Angela thought it might lunge again. Instead, it turned and bolted into the trees. She dropped the rock and fell to her knees beside her son. "Noah, baby, look at me. Look at Mommy." He blinked. His lips trembled, but he was conscious, alive. Angela pulled off her flannel shirt and wrapped it around his bleeding head. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely tie it. She had no phone on her, hadn't thought to grab it. So she did what any mother would do. She picked him up and ran. The road was nearly a quarter mile from the house. By the time she reached it, she was gasping for breath. soaked in sweat and blood, hers and Noah's. She flagged down the first car that passed, a white pickup driven by a ranch hand from Carbondale named Eli Martinez. He didn't ask questions. He just slammed on the brakes, helped her into the cab, and sped for Aspen Valley Hospital. Ben Rutledge was already there. He'd gotten the call from a neighbor who'd heard the screaming and driven straight to the ER. When he saw Angela stumble into the lobby, cradling Noah like a newborn, his knees buckled. "What happened?" he whispered. Angela, eyes hollow, said just one word: lion. Part 3, Between the Lines of Life. The ER team moved fast. Noah was rushed into surgery within minutes. A deep laceration ran from above his right ear to the back of his head, narrowly missing the temporal artery. His scalp was torn. There were puncture wounds along his neck. But he was breathing. His pulse was steady. Angela sat slumped in a plastic chair, arms wrapped in gauze, blood still caked in her hair. A nurse tried to clean her wounds, but she barely noticed. Her ears still rang from Noah's screams. Her fists still trembled from the force she used to hit that cat. Ben sat beside her, stunned, silent. He kept glancing toward the operating room doors, as if willing them to open. At 7:43 p.m., they did. A pediatric surgeon named Dr. Anika Sharma stepped out, her eyes tired but kind. "He's stable," she said softly. "We've closed the wounds and there's no sign of intracranial bleeding. He'll need time, but your son's going to be okay." Angela broke down. For the first time all day, she let herself cry. Later that night, officers from Colorado Parks and Wildlife arrived. They sat with Angela in a small room, asking her to recount every moment. "I didn't think," she kept saying. "I just ran. He was in its mouth." They nodded, listened, took notes. One of the officers, a grizzled man named Ranger Jeff Marston, looked her in the eye before leaving. "You probably saved his life, ma'am. If you hadn't been there, well, mountain lions don't let go." The next morning, wildlife agents found the cougar less than a mile from the Rutledge home. It was a young male, roughly 2 years old, underweight and likely hunting for small prey near homes. It had blood on its fur, Noah's blood. It was euthanized. Angela didn't ask questions about that. She didn't want to see it. What she saw every time she closed her eyes was enough. Her son on the forest floor, and a pair of yellow eyes staring back. Noah spent 6 days in the hospital. He asked quietly if the big cat was gone. Angela told him yes. He asked if it was his fault for playing too close to the trees. Angela knelt beside him, her hands still bandaged, her voice gentle but firm. "No, sweetheart, you did nothing wrong. You were just a little boy playing outside. That's all." She didn't tell him what she told herself each night in the dark, that if she'd just gone with him, or kept him closer, none of it would have happened. Part 4. The Long Quiet. When Noah came home, the world felt different. It wasn't just the wound on his head, now a fragile line of stitches hidden beneath soft gauze, or the way he flinched at sudden sounds. It was the silence. That long, eerie silence that settled over the house once the adrenaline faded. Angela walked differently now, slower, alert. Her eyes constantly scanned the tree line from the kitchen window. Ben had already cut back the brush, installed motion-activated floodlights, and put up a taller fence, but none of it helped her sleep at night. She started keeping the porch light on until sunrise. Reporters came. By day 3, the story had gone national. "Colorado mom saves son from mountain lion with bare hands," read one headline. CNN called, then ABC, even Good Morning America. Angela refused all interviews. She didn't want the attention. "It's not heroism," she told Ben. It's instinct. I didn't choose courage, I chose him. But the community didn't stay silent. Neighbors from all over Pitkin County brought meals. Local kids left cards taped to their mailbox. One woman from Boulder mailed Angela a handmade bracelet that read, "Mama Bear is greater than Mountain Lion." Ben read that one out loud, and for the first time in days, Angela cracked a smile. Noah recovered faster than anyone expected. Kids are resilient in ways that adults aren't. Within weeks, he was walking again. A little shaky, sure, but walking. He started drawing in crayon. Pictures of cats with X marks over them, then later, trees and sunshine, and a woman with long brown hair standing between a small boy and a tan animal with claws. Angela kept those drawings in a folder, tucked away in the bedroom closet. But the scars stayed. Late at night, Noah sometimes woke screaming. Angela would run to his room, sit on the edge of his bed, and stroke his hair until his breathing slowed. She never told him to be brave. She just told him he was safe. In early October, Colorado Parks and Wildlife invited Angela to speak at a local awareness event about human-wildlife encounters. She was hesitant, but eventually agreed. "I'm not an expert," she said at the podium, voice steady but quiet. "I'm just a mom who happened to be close enough to do something. I think what matters more is, how many times could this have ended differently?" She paused. Wild animals don't know fences, but love doesn't either. Part 5. What Love Leaves Behind. By winter, the snow had returned to Aspen. Thick, heavy flakes that blanketed the hills and softened the outline of everything, even pain. Noah had started kindergarten. He wore a blue beanie to cover the scar, though Angela noticed he didn't seem to care if anyone asked about it. When one classmate said, "What happened to your head?" Noah simply answered, "My mom beat up a mountain lion." And then he laughed. Angela still walked him to the school bus every morning. She stood there, even after the doors closed, watching until the yellow frame disappeared around the bend. There were no more screams in the trees, only the wind, only memory. Sometimes late at night, she'd sit on the porch with a mug of tea, blanket wrapped around her shoulders, and stare into the forest. She didn't hate the mountain lion. It had only done what it knew. It had followed its instincts. So had she. But one was about hunger. The other was about love. They say you don't know what you're capable of until the moment comes. They're right. In the span of a single heartbeat, a mother discovered she could run barefoot through broken grass, throw herself at a predator twice her size, and fight it back, bleeding, screaming, blind with fear, because her son needed her. No one trains for that, but somehow, in the chaos, something ancient takes over. Not bravery, not even desperation, just love, weaponized. And that's the story of A Scream in the Pines, a woman who didn't think, only moved, and a child who lived to draw trees and sunshine again. If this story moved you, let us know. Like the video, leave a comment, subscribe for more real-life stories of courage, love, and the quiet heroes among us. Because sometimes, the bravest voice isn't the one that roars. It's the one that whispers, "Not my child."